What are the red flags that people should look out for in relationships?
I think people can't take responsibility is a pretty difficult one to live with. If someone can't say sorry, if they don't have that kind of humility, that's one of the more damning ones, I think, because it's hard if you can't take accountability, if you don't have the humility to look at yourself and apologize, you also can't really grow. It's why, one of the classic kind of hallmarks of narcissists is incompetence, because if you can't take responsibility for something, you can't get better. So you just keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and it's everyone else's fault, and it's the world's fault. And so you essentially mat incompetence. And so someone who can't say sorry, or someone who can't take responsibility in a relationship, that's a really difficult thing to work with. That goes hand in hand with like someone who talks badly about multiple kind of exes, and it's just always everyone else's fault. Like it's if you've got a string of people that you've dated that you just keep saying how awful they all were, it's like there's something going on there, because you can't.
You're the common denominator between all of these different relationships.
Yeah. When you no longer trust that someone's going to do what they say they're going to do, it really breaks something in a relationship, because now that you don't trust that they're going to do something, you to version of yourself you don't like with that person. Like historically, the people that have ever worked for me that I micromanage the most are the ones that I don't think are going to actually get it done.
Well, it's that vigilance again. It's the night
hypervigilant. Exactly. If they're going to do it by next Wednesday, they deliver it by next Wednesday, I actually don't bother them at all. I'm like, I fully hands off the wheel. I'll see you next Wednesday. But when someone doesn't do it by next Wednesday and then they don't even bring it up, and I'm like, wait, you said you were going to do this thing today. I'm the one who has to bring it up. And they're like, oh yeah, well, there's this thing. It's like, now I don't trust that you're going to do it. And I don't even trust that you're going to acknowledge it if you don't do it. So for dating and relationships, if someone consistently, we're all capable of breaking promises. Don't get me wrong. Like we all overpromise sometimes, or we try and take too many things on, and anyone's capable of that. But if someone consistently doesn't honor their word with you in big and small ways, that to me would be a big red flag, because things to me, there's like just fundamentals of a relationship. Can someone take accountability? Do they deliver what they say they're going to do? Like these things are without those, you don't really have anything. If you don't trust someone to do what they say they're going to do, and if when they do what they say they're going to do, or they fall beneath a standard, they can't apologize, then you have a fundamentally broken dynamic that no amount of love is really going to it won't overcome it to be able to make you happy. You're not playing by the same rules in life. And when in any relationship, you're not playing by the same rules. If you and I have a friendship and I wrong you and I apologize, it's not the end of the world that I wronged you. You might go, I can live with it, and you've apologized. We're playing by the same rules. Yeah. You did something wrong. You get it. You've apologized. We're both living in the same universe. But if I do something wrong and you call me out on it and I say, I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, what happened was you, like, now it's like, oh, we're not even playing the same sport. We're not playing by the same rules. We're up different realities here. The danger of any relationship is that you think we equate proximity and closeness to a shared experience and a shared moral and emotional world. And they're not the same things. You can share the same bit of carpet with someone for years and think that you're on the same page about things. And then when that person is like, you realize you're with an alien. That person, I get people who get sick and their partner's not like, can't be asked to take them to the hospital. And you go, oh, these are two people that like she or he thought they occupied the same emotional space, but they're on planets. It just felt like they were close because they lived together, because they'd been together for so long, because, it's like and even in any bad relationship, you're always going to be able to point to great moments. Like it, and those great moments really confuse us. But it is the equivalent of a broken being right twice a day. It's a great advice for telling the time, just because twice a day it was like, oh, it's right. but that's what people do with love. It's like twice a day, it feels good and it feels right. And then they go, oh, it must be important, but broken.
How can people get better at apologizing as the person that maybe they feel unsafe when I'm in the wrong, and their face gets flush and they hear it and their shoulders come up. It's tight.
Like, you're wrong.
Yeah. And it just activates, and you can do it in a sort of resentful way. You can do it in a passive aggressive way. How can people learn to be a bit safer when it to being in the wrong and communicating that?
I think slowing down and even communicating with someone what you're feeling. Like, I know, like, I'm struggling right now because I'm not what I just did or said, but I feel like my brain has been hijacked and I feel really defensive right now. But I also am not proud of that thing that I did. And even if you voice it in an angry way, like, I feel so defensive right now and I feel this, and I know what I said was out of line just now, but like it just in the door, creating the crack in the door for a dynamic to start to kind of snowball. Because right now it's snowballing in one direction, but sometimes all it takes for it to start going in another direction is just one person to like be angry, but still grab the other person's hand anyway. And just be like say, step more vulnerable than you feel comfortable with in that moment. And of course, so much of this is about regulating your nervous system. Sometimes it's breathing, going for a walk, just taking a moment to like go, okay, something's happened. I have gotten activated here. This, whatever is going on for me right now, I know I'm in the wrong about this, but I have become activated in a way that is like way outsized from what's going on right now. What is going on there? And you could even, again, you could say that to someone. Something about this has got me triggered, and I don't know what it is. Something about it has like messed with me, and I don't want to take that out on you.
This is why I think the overly sterile approach of looking at dating and relationships is so insufficient, because it leaves no room for this messiness. And this is something, again, hesitate to bring it up because it's like, guy goes to therapy and all he wants to talk about is therapy. But the therapeutic relationship is one of the very few where you can be as messy as you want. You start 5 sentences and stop all of them. Just bail out and go, I know, actually, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Or you repeat the same thing 10 times, 10 sessions in a row, or 10 times within the same session. And learning to be like, right, okay, I don't need to present to anybody a perfectly well-formed thought, especially if I don't have it. There was a guy, I went to a retreat in LA a couple of months ago, and there was a dude there, and I asked him why he'd stopped creating content online. And he said, because I felt like I had to live up to in private the things I was saying in public. And I think that there's like a shadow of that occurring in these situations where if you don't have the skill or the understanding or the capacity or the safety or the room to slow down and to be able to say, like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm a competent person. Maybe you're super high flyer. You do all of these things. Your partner looks up to you to drive whatever relationship forward, or his parents or whatever. You're like, I don't know what's going on, but like, let me messily, chaotically just try and communicate to you that I don't know what's going on. But trying to bring something into land with this perfectly well-rounded box with a bow on it and it pushes it across the table, like that, it's a lie. Like, what you're trying to do is you are sacrificing honesty for smoothness, and you're trying to make yourself seem like less of an insane person. You're like, what functioning adult would say what functioning adult doesn't know what they're thinking or feeling? This makes me sound like a crazy person. I can't access this level of truthfulness or honesty, because what does that say about me? I flawed, defective, completely unhinged and crazy.
And it's really interesting what you just said, because that what functioning says something like this or feels this way, that's a realization. It has been for me for self-compassion. Is it's not a functioning adult that's having this feeling right now. There's some child in me that is like, feels really unsafe right now. And, you know, maybe this connects to another time in my life. You know, maybe there's something about this situation right now that's making me feel really stupid. And maybe this connects to a time in my life where I was, you know, I felt really bullied, or I felt like I was really stupid. I was made to feel really small by people, whether it's family or whether it was in the classroom or whatever it was. I was, you know, this made me feel really, really small. It made me feel really stupid. And that's why I'm so defensive right now. Like, that's why I've gone on the attack, because suddenly I felt really small again, or I felt really stupid. And the tone it might just be as simple as the tone someone used with you. And it might be a tone from a much more loving person than whoever that was back then. But something about the tone took you right back there. And now you're not speaking to this person, you're speaking to that person, but they're the target. And understanding that, like, I think that's a beautiful thing. It's like, there's a scared, hurt child here somewhere. And if I can understand that, then I don't have to feel like me saying this is me like giving up my identity as a person who's doing well in adult life, or, you know, strong the rest of the time. Or I can myself this moment where something bigger is happening than in me, whatever is happening out here, and have compassion for it.
Look, ultimately, like, that's what you're feeling. That is what you're feeling at that moment. So you can box it up and tie the bow on it and shove it across the table if you want, but that thing is going to continue to happen. You're going to continue to be at the mercy of that mental pathology, that weakness, that shattered, splintered vector within which things are going to continue to insert them into your psyche. And it's going to show up in relationships, because when you're on your own, you're perfectly capable of creating the limits of where you push yourself to mentally. You bring somebody else into that equation and everything gets blown out of the water. It's like, they expect things from me.
Yeah.
You know, I can't take 3 days of ruminating about this because I have to say something now. So what do? You don't ruminate about it, and you just come up with the nearest, this looks like a reason, and you just sort of throw it there. Or there's one that's really familiar that you pick, and you eat them or whatever.
Yeah.